I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you, joining you from my desk here. I cleaned it, so I figured I should be able to broadcast from it. It is a beautiful day outside, a little bit of showers, as you've seen, I'm sure, all over the valley. But the games go on. Today is the kickoff of the districts for baseball. We continue with the championships in district softball play for the 10U and 12U, and we kick off the 50-70 coverage of what we got going on right now. We're actually going to have a live look in here in just a few moments. We'll talk about that as we go through the show. I hope everybody had a great holiday weekend, one of my favorite holidays of the year, and a chance for everybody to kind of unwind, to recharge those batteries, to honor America. Happy birthday, America, number 246, and you don't look a day over 20. So keep on looking beautiful, and as we do each and every day, we're going to take a look on this day in sports history on July 5th. Here we go. So interestingly enough, today, July 5th, the day after Independence Day, people talk all the time, naturally, about Jackie Robinson and breaking down the color barrier. But interestingly enough, on this day in 1947, and I want to make sure I have this absolutely correct because I'm not a historian, it was just months after Jackie Robinson. Okay, so Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier on April 15th, 1947. Naturally, that's usually when we have Jackie Robinson Day. On July 5th, 1947, Cleveland Indians rookie Larry Doby becomes the first black player in the American League when he strikes out in a 6-5 loss versus Chicago. Not exactly the one that people remember and the legend of Jackie Robinson, but Larry Doby was the first American League African-American player to enter, again, the American League, and he played for the Indians, which I've always thought is pretty cool that the Indians known for all that, especially with all they've gone through with their name change and, you know, how they've contributed to history and how they've helped break down barriers and social controversies and things of that nature. So, again, on this day in sports history, July 5th, if you didn't know, Larry Doby of the Cleveland Indians becomes the first black player in the American League. All right, so want to get to a little bit, and we're gonna kick this in here. So we're gonna do a little live look in. I hope you're okay with that. I turned this game on, and it was 1-1 in the first, and Mason absolutely blew up in the bottom of the second inning. They're the green team, and Matt Mayer has the call for this. So we're gonna turn him up in a little bit. But he's been doing an excellent job. When you have a game like this, and this is the 50-70s, there's a 2 o'clock and a 5 o'clock today. They were scheduled for 1 and 4, but Canfield at McCune Park did such a good job of taking care of and you could see where it's wet over there with the dirt. It's a little bit more, the clay's a little bit clumped together, but they did a great job getting the fields ready. Naturally, I'm sure the fields were a little bit dry, so they could probably use a little bit of rain, and Mason has taken complete advantage of Elyria here. I think they struck for 12 in the bottom of the second, And they just kept on going and going and going. And, when it comes down to championship time of the year, you don't take the foot off the gas pedal. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. It's perfect segues. This one's flared to shortstop. They're going to toss over to first base. And no call from the umpire. I don't know. 14-1 now. And the bases are empty with one away. So he was out. So one of the things we're going to talk about to kick off the show is I'm trying to understand how you don't have every major league team playing yesterday. I was a little bit bummed that the Pirates weren't on. They were on Sunday. Most of them were afternoon games. But then, like, every baseball team should play on the 4th of July, on Independence Day, because it's America's pastime. We celebrate America. It's one of those ways that I think, like, I was looking, I have the app for MLB that we can watch every game. But for me, it's one of those things like getting ready for the 4th of July. Maybe just, we did some work outside, did our American freedom thing, right? But to be able to tune into a baseball game, whether you're watching it, listening to it, whatever it may be, that's one of those great things about, you can listen to a baseball game and still kind of know where you're at and get the ambiance of what's going on. And I tried to turn the game on yesterday, and I didn't look at the schedule first. No Pirates game. So I couldn't listen to my buddy Greg Brown, who I think is the best. I know there's a lot of Tommy Hamilton guys out there. Greg Brown is the sound of he and Lanny Ferteri are the guys of my childhood. So when I hear them, I know the Pirates are on. I was just disappointed. I think that baseball should be played. I'm an advocate for having youth games in the morning on the 4th of July. Like, being able to get in there. I know it's a holiday. Nobody should be doing anything on the holidays. But the reality of it is being able to play games on the 4th of July up until, let's say, 2 o'clock. And then you have the rest of the day to celebrate. Most of these activities don't get underway until, noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then they go the rest of the day, and then they cap off with the fireworks. I think it's something that should be, I would love to get something going for baseball and softball for 4th of July. Even just a tournament, just a get-together tournament, like a rec softball, or rec baseball, something or other, or kickball or something along those lines, because it's such, again, 4th of July is such a unique holiday. You're not giving presents. You're just celebrating the country. And I think that there's a lot to that. There's a lot to break down from that. And I was just highly disappointed with absolutely zero Pittsburgh Pirates. Oh, look out. That's going to bring home another run. Wild pitch. And now 15-1 Mason. They just keep on keeping on. Unreal. You guys who are out there, let me know if you can. I don't know how this works when it comes to audio, so we're going to turn it up and see. Let me know if you can hear him. So this is the voice of Matt Mayer. I can hear him in my headphones. I don't know if you can hear him out there. So if you're out there and can comment and let me know if you can hear Matt. I don't want to be distracting, but we definitely want the live look in. Give you a little bit of extra coverage. So if you can hear him, let me know. I'm going to try to talk over him a little bit. I might turn him down just a little bit so I'm not grounded out to first base. And it looks like that is going to be out number 2. Runner moves up to second base. Here we go. Somebody's helping me out here. No sound. Okay, thanks, Siggy. Appreciate that. All right, so we'll just let you kind of take it in from a standpoint of being able to watch it. As a matter of fact, we'll blow them up here. You need to see more of that and less of me. So there you go. Mason with a 15-1 lead over Lyria. This is the game 1 of the 50-70s that's being held in Canfield. Shout out to Mr. Chet Cooper, to Little League Baseball as well. we have the rights to these, and grateful for it. We'll also have the championships tonight as we look at. I'll try to get the calendar up here so you guys can see it. So a lot of games on the network tonight. So we have absolutely blanked last night from a standpoint of we had nothing going on. Zero, zilch, zip, nada. Everybody had the day off, which I was happy for, but we wanted to have a ton of games coming back, and we got our wish. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games for you to see here tonight. And it's all starting with this 2 o'clock game with District 9 versus District 7, Mason versus Elyria. And then it'll follow up. Matt Mayer will have another game coming up at 5 p.m. It'll be District 2 versus District 6, which I'm not aware of who that is. So we're still trying to break down the district champions. 5:30, a little Class B for you, 18U Dur Edge at Athletics. We'll also kick off the BCB baseball. Well, it's the district championship baseball stuff. At 6 o'clock, Austintown versus Canfield. We also have Austintown versus Poland in 10U. We will have 11U Canfield versus Poland. Then more at 6 o'clock, we have Creekside versus Avalanche for 16U baseball. Still out at Scene Park, more 16U. Whiting against the Astros. Then we have State College versus Mahoning Valley. That's at 7:05. Richie Giuliano will have the call for you for that one. Pardon me, 8 o'clock. Ballistic and Nightline, 18U baseball. Then we have Boardman versus Canfield, 12U baseball in prime time, 8 o'clock. Boardman versus Poland in 12U baseball, which is Boardman must have 2 teams. And then we also have at 8 o'clock rounding things out, Boardman versus Strother. So a lot of Boardman teams represented in this year's districts. Folks, I can't tell you enough from a standpoint of this. When you watch 12U, and when you watch 11U, 10U, 8, whatever it is, when you watch these little leagues, these districts, get to know these kids' names because they're the ones that are the future of YSN. They're the ones that in a couple years you're going to be hearing these kids and from these kids more than ever. Here we have a check-in here. Leanne says, Boardman versus Canfield, softball at 8. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We have it. That's correct. Yep, so we have it as softball. I read it as baseball. My apologies, Leanne. Anthony Hartwig and B. Miller will have the call on that. And there's also Austintown versus Poland at 6 o'clock. That's going to be the 10U softball championships. And again, both of those right here on the same network that has been bringing you all the games to this point, YSN. We appreciate your support and keeping us in line and keeping us in check, Leanne, so much. So make sure you check those games out as we get them ready for tonight. Again, all starting right now. You can watch this game. You can tune me out. I don't care. Go listen to Matt Mayer, who's done an excellent job for us here on YSN. And Leanne drops in a little Go Cards. How can you not love that? Little Go Cards. I love it. Love seeing the support from the community. And honestly, guys and gals, whenever you see this, the support from the communities is amazing. You go out to the Fields of Dreams tonight. Support these kids. Support these communities and watch what happens. As these teams get closer and closer and closer to championships, it's amazing to me. And we've had the great fortune of being able to cover some of these teams like after the districts. We followed them to New Albany a couple years ago. We've followed them to Cambridge for the state championships. And trust me, if there's opportunity, we will do it again. We love following these kids as far as we can possibly get them to go. It's a great thing. I'm a huge advocate for Little League Baseball. Again, trying to get Chet Cooper on the show. Hopefully he'll be able to join us. I'll have a nice chat with him tonight. We'll at least be able to sit down with him. I got to imagine he'll sit down with us for a few minutes and talk about Little League Baseball and the excitement behind it. But I would love to have him on the show discussing, the same things that we talked about. Little League looking to to start the quote unquote open enrollment of allowing these teams to have whoever. So can't wait to have that discussion. Hopefully Chet's able to borrow a few minutes, and we're able to borrow a few minutes of Chet's time to get him on and talk about this. So exciting stuff. Again, 13 games on the network. Started at 2 o'clock, going to end tonight around, I'd say probably about 10 o'clock mark. So we got a full list of games here on the network. One of the biggest things, and I have some congratulations to hand out. Our good buddy Chris Ziegler, everybody knows he's a twin. He's his brother Josh, resigned today from United Basketball in lieu of being named the athletic director at Beaver Local. We'll have Josh on the show tomorrow to talk about all the things and kind of what went into that. He's actually a teacher at Beaver Local, has been for some time, and the opportunity came up when Bob Beam moved to Springfield to take the Springfield job as the athletic director, and now Josh Ziegler will move into the athletic director job at Beaver Local, which is something I think he's very familiar with, understanding kind of the situations, seeing, and what he's built in United has been, really impressive. So I'm really looking forward to Josh and this. Both Zieglers and I can joke around, and there's going to be plenty of jokes tomorrow, but there's going to be a lot of real opportunity for a teacher, a lover of sports, and now an opportunity to be an athletic director. And what kind of things go into that? What kind of thoughts go into that when, and you don't want to say a change of careers, but it really is. Going from teacher to an athletic director is truly a change of direction for what Coach Ziegler had going for him, and what goes into that, and how hard was it to walk away from something that he's truly built from the ground up. I mean, when you think about what Coach Ziegler has done, I mean, it is truly impressive. And I mean truly, to take that United squad and be able to build it, stack it up year after year after year, and be competitive and have some big wins, some signature wins over the last 3 years, to really lead those young ladies and build their confidence and build that program and turn it around to what it is today. And I think Beaver Local, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, Beaver Local saw that, and really it was almost a salivating opportunity for them, because Bob Beam did an excellent job of getting that started, right? In the last year, Beaver Local has really started to push. Right before him, it was Coach McKenzie, and he's had to do like dual shifts. But Beaver Local has really opted in for, hey, we want one guy or one girl or whoever, one person, to lead the way and not have distractions, because our athletic programs are that important. And I think a lot of athletic directors will agree with me. They are that important. The revenue that they bring in, the kids that they bring in, whatever it may be, sports is that important that we need to devote one single person to sports at all time. Getting them scheduled, the games scheduled, making sure the kids have uniforms. I mean, it'll go, we're going to hear from Josh tomorrow, a laundry list of things that athletic directors do that people don't really know and don't understand. From the ticket sales to the sponsorships to, making sure that, Beaver Local's got that brand new spanking new stadium, building on and adding on some of the things that they're doing with Derek Wolf and Jamin Pastor. It's going to be an undertaking. And I know that Josh is excited. I know I'm excited for him. Everybody's excited for him. But it's something that's going to need a full-time attention to give to it. So we'll have Josh on the show tomorrow. I'm excited for that. At some point this week, Aiden English is set to join us. So we have some interviews coming this week that getting back into full swing. And believe it or not, and you probably heard the swallow of my spit there. Football and our football coaching interviews, our coaches' corners, will begin in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we'll be getting football previews We'll be talking to the coaches live on the air and recorded in situations because of vacations and things. So we're really looking forward to that. Let's get to the comments and Amo. First move as AD, bring BL to the EBC. I would not be against that. And as this game it's wrapped up, 16-1 final in 4. Interesting. Mason gets the win over Elyria, and that leaves a little bit of time on the clock to get things done. Next game isn't set to start until 5, so you've got a couple hours to get ready for the next game. But Mason doesn't have to waste all their pitching. Elyria just could not stop the train chugging down the tracks in Mason. So nice job for Mason and a big game 1 for them. So I guess we got to go full screen now. I guess that's what we got to do. Nope, not that full screen. This full screen. Unfortunately for you. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, I would not be mad about seeing Amo's wish here. First move as AD is to bring Beaver Local back to the EBC. The EBC, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I also think that there's another conference there that would have been interesting. It would have been very interesting to see Beaver Local look down and hunt down that position. And I think there were opportunities at some point, but they just didn't pan out. No matter who the decision came down to, I just think that they couldn't get enough lined up to go in the way of kind of pairing the two, merging the two. So interesting stuff. We talked about conference shakeups. Again, I'm not going to list it in the realm of impossibilities that we see some of these teams like a Beaver Local, like some of these teams that are on our wall in the back, start shifting and maneuvering to make themselves a little bit closer to home. A little bit closer to home. Because as the cost of everything goes up, and I'm saying everything, because I think we've all kind of felt the pinch, you have to start taking into account school budgets and how far the gas is going to take you, your gasoline budgets and your bus budgets. And I mean, everybody wants paid more. Everybody wants an opportunity to apologize. I'm getting a call coming in here. It just everything has gone up. So superintendents and of course athletic directors and teachers and everybody seemingly has to do a little bit more diving into, hey, what do we need to do to make sure we make ends meet? Families are doing it all across America, and it's going to be no difference for business owners as well as supers, school boards, and finance directors, people of that nature, and certainly not any different for athletic directors. So when you start cutting costs, you start wondering, hey, can we cut costs, here by just playing people that are closer to home? That's going to be a conversation, and it's going to be a very difficult conversation in a lot of tribes, because to me, it's a situation where when you look at it, there might be some bad blood. There might be some things that you said before, some of those words that you like Mama said, you got to keep them soft and sweet, that were a little bit harder than what they probably should have. Some hard conversations are going to happen in the next year to two. And I think that you're going to see, and again, and I might be completely off base here, but I'm reading the room, and the way I understand it is that the bottom line is always going to be the top priority. Okay? So when you can save people and the taxpayers and everybody, if you can save them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, as a superintendent, as an athletic director, as a business person, as a connoisseur and a good representative of the people, and especially from a school board, they're going to do that because they're going to have to answer it if they don't. And I think that's where you're going to start seeing some of the concessions. And I'm not talking about the food. I'm talking about the concessions have to be made to say, okay, yeah, we might not be able to play some of these teams unless they're, OHSAA affiliated from a standpoint of like going to the playoffs. Like you can't dictate who you play in the playoffs, you have to go. And a lot of these are neutral sites. But what's interesting to me is coaches and athletic directors can absolutely take a look at their schedule, take an overview, and say, okay, we're all over the place here. Our closest game is 30 minutes away, and some of these games that we haven't had in a long time, that ones that we've just to fill your schedule, you're talking some of these are 2 hours away, some of them more. I've seen some of the schedules. One of the schedules I saw 2.5 hours away, and that's by car, not by bus. There you see it. So it's restarting for us. So we'll take a look at that too. So that Mason wins. You just weren't able to see the beginning of it. You can take a look as we do the dual screen here, the setting things up. But yeah, again, I think that there's going to be a lot of tough conversations. I'm interested to talk to Josh tomorrow about some of those. How did the interview process go? There was a lot of good people in line knocking on the door for Beaver Local, because that is a good get. That is a good job. Bob Beam did a fantastic job. Eric Lowe has done a fantastic job. Jim Ricardo's done a fantastic job of making sure that everything is basically turnkey for the person that walks in. And that's when you have a good system. We talked about Mike McKenzie, who's still the football coach there at Beaver Local, and is doing an extraordinary job. Just an extraordinary job. If you didn't follow Beaver Local's last football season, shame on you, because he has turned that program right back around, and they are going to be good again this year. So be able to watch for the Beavers, because I'm sure we're going to be posted up there at some point, and I'm sure Josh is going to bring it up tomorrow at some point. We'll be out there under the tent and talking to Coach McKenzie, and probably talking to Coach Sigler as well about the great things happening at Beaver Local. Eric Lowe, again, a guy that I can't tell you how much I admire, just constantly doing things for his kids, just over and over. And that's for every kid that walks into that school, so not just athletes. So kudos to Eric, and a great hire by the school board, a great hire by Eric. Josh Sigler will join the show tomorrow here on the Ysn Power Hour. So in lieu of, and we're going to take a break here in a couple minutes, but one of the things I'm going to tease it is we've seen games like this. And everybody, if you're just tuning in, it's 0-0, right? Top of the first. This game's over. It just ended 16-1 your final. Mason wins. Spoiler alert. But it's one of those things where when you are watching a game like this, when you're a part of a game like this, a blowout, how do you handle yourself? How do you handle yourself as a fan? How do we handle ourselves as announcers? How do you handle yourself as a player? How do umpires handle themselves? We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this at length, because I think this is another part of the essence, the DNA of sports that has got away from us a little bit. Not being able to handle taking a loss or even winning. There's sportsmanship on both sides of the bench, right? When you're winning, there's sportsmanship. When you're losing, there's sportsmanship. We're going to talk about all of that and more when we come back on the Ysn Power Hour. Don't you dare go away. All that is coming at you right after this break by these great supporters.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
We are Kent State in the Valley. Start and finish one of more than 25 bachelor's or associate degree programs, or start one of Kent State's 280 majors. With low tuition, public, and plenty of scholarship opportunities, we will help you maximize your education and minimize student debt. Enjoy the benefits of a smaller campus with all the opportunities of a large university. Save money, stay close to home. Apply today by visiting kent.edu/Trumbull.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience, WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit WRSwealth.com. Good luck, athletes!
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
How lucky are we to have not 1, but 2 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring PGA professionals, golf instruction, a players rewards club, kids programs, and a pro shop and grill room for a memorable golf experience. Call or click to schedule your tee time at Mill Creek Golf Course.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Now is the time to think about your future, where you want to go, what you want to be. Your future can start now at Kent State Salem or Kent State East Liverpool. We have programs that will open doors and provide opportunities for you to pursue your passion. We are affordable, we are close. You call it hometown, we call it Kent State University. Learn more at www.kent.edu/Columbiana. You belong here.
It means the world to me to know that what we're doing is impacting people. And whether it's simply, I got to watch my son or daughter when I was out of town, or we just love watching YSN. We love what you do for our son or daughter. So whenever someone says thank you or someone is appreciative of what we're doing, it tells me everyone at YSN is doing what we initially set out to do, which is shine a light on these athletes and help them kind of promote themselves. My name's Anthony Hartwig, and my sports network is your sports network.
Hey, welcome back, and apologies for the extended. Well, it gave you a chance. Let's be honest, it gave you a chance to see some of our great supporters. So thank you to them. If you would want to be or become a supporter, advertiser, sponsor, whatever you want to call it, head over to ysnlive.com/advertise and get started. Literally today. If you have all the materials, we can get you up on all of our computers and all of our setups here tonight. All right, before we went to break, we were talking about blowouts because this is, spoiler alert, again, this game will become a blowout here in before the show is over. I can almost guarantee it. So, blowouts. How do you react? How do you handle a game that gets out of hand quickly? How do you prepare your son, your daughter, yourself for a game that gets out of hand? So there's so many different aspects and points of contact on this. So you see there's 3 different, even on your screen, there's 3 different points of contact. You've got 2 teams, right? 1, 2, and you've got an umpire. Out of the screen, there's coaches. So there's 5 different kind of viewpoints on how things go. Now, obviously, There's the cardinal rules, the unwritten rules. If in baseball, if you're up by 10 runs or whatever it may be, you're not stealing bases, you're not running pass balls, you're not trying to run up the score on people, you're really just trying to get out of that game and save yourself some pitching, not get anybody hurt or killed or whatever it may be, or start bad blood. All of that goes into handling the sportsmanship side of things. Coaches are at the top of that pyramid. Now, I will also say that umpires have a lot to do with this. Umpires, and officials, I should say, overall, need to have conversations with coaches that when a game is out of hand, when a game is beyond measurable hope, let's say, they need to have conversations with coaches and say, listen, the strike zone is going to get bigger. The calls, we're going to let the kids play because we don't want to stop the clock because X, Y, Z, right? You don't want the frustration to start to begin. Oh, he missed it. Thought we were going to see a little two ball. So from our standpoint, broadcasters, we tell our kids and we tell everybody that works for us, kids, adults, whatever, when a game's out of hand, make sure you have some notes and you're not crushing the team that's getting just absolutely lambasted. You want to have some things to talk about. I don't care if it's bringing somebody on and talking about the weather or talking about, how a team got there, or just shining a positive light on those kids, because listen, nobody wants to get their butts kicked twice in one night or twice in one day, whatever it may be. So you got to spend some positivity. You got to bring some of the sunlight to otherwise a dark day or a dark night for one of those teams. Talk about the different scenarios that you can do. Well, if they get a couple base hits here, if they get runners in scoring position, that can bring them a little bit closer. Get them ready for next game. Things of that nature. It's almost like coach speak, but you got a microphone on. Coaches can get really defensive. And some don't. Some understand that it's just not your day. It wasn't your time. But some coaches can get really defensive about blowout games. And that's where it gets tricky. Because then you start looking at the pyramid, right? The pyramid that every coach, that every coach has. And whenever you start to get a little salty, that salt starts funneling down the pyramid on both sides of it. Coaches at the top, then you've got parents over here, and you've got players over here. And once the parents start going, it's tough to get a hold of that game. Whether you're an umpire, whether you're a kid, whether you're a coach, once the parents and the fans start getting their feathers ruffled, it is very challenging to get that game under control again. Because parents, even though they have affiliation to your team, don't feel like they have an official affiliation because they're sitting behind a fence, or they're standing on a fence, or they're whatever it may be. They're not out there on the field. They don't feel like they have necessarily the same skin in the game. But the reality is, parents, fans, whatever it may be, whatever your classification is, you don't realize that you are a direct reflection of your son, your daughter, your school, your community, that coach, that whatever it may be. Moms make all these cute shirts that say, little Timmy with little Timmy's number, and then you put little Timmy's mom on the back, and then you put little Timmy's number again, right? We're so proud of our kids. Just remember that umpires see you. As much as people joke about umpires and referees and officials being blind, they see a lot more than we do. They have a very unique skill set that allows them to pick people out of the crowd and understand, listen, little Timmy's mom, little Timmy's dad, if you are badgering the umpire, if you are absolutely giving it to them, and they see that you're wearing a team-colored shirt with number 13, guess who they're going to go after? Guess who they're going to not give any calls to? They're not going to do any favors for. It's again, we've talked about self-awareness on this show. You need to understand, parents, fans, that an umpire can take things out. That's their balance of power. And I'm not saying it's right, but neither is badgering an umpire or a referee. You're not helping yourself out. It's the same way that when pitchers are in bad scenarios, whether it be a close game or a blowout, and you see the body language on pitchers and catchers and whoever, but especially pitchers. Your point guards, everybody. Body language is so critical. Pitcher, if you throw one that you thought was a strike and it's called a ball, and you take the ball and you snap at it like that, or you stare down an official, you stare down an umpire after a call that was made that maybe you don't agree with, I'm just letting you know they're probably, number one, they're going to see it. They're either going to react or they're not, but they will make sure they have a little closer eye on you. That strike zone might get even tighter. You might get a little bit more squeezed. Or the hand checks that you've been getting away with all game, probably not going to get away with anymore. Or football players, the hold that you've been getting away with, or quarterbacks. These little things add up. And again, I love the human element of sports. I adore it. Do I want the right call? Yes. But I love it's almost a game. It's a little bit of gamesmanship between players and officials, coaches and officials. Notice I didn't say there's gamesmanship between fans and officials. There's no game there. You're there to watch the game. An umpire, an official is there to do a job. Whether it be a blowout or whether it be a tie game. They're there to do a job. So we've covered the umpire side of things, right? The umpires need to be able to keep things in check. The strike zones, they need to communicate. Are they going to get smaller? Are they going to shrink a little bit? Or do they get a little bit bigger to get this game rolling? If it's a team up by 15 in baseball, the strike zone's probably going to get a little bit bigger. And pitchers just need to understand that. And batters need to understand that you need to get going. You need to get rolling. Anything close, you're swinging, because this game's got to come to a halt. If you're down by 15, you've already done no favors to yourself of trying to shrink that strike zone and make things, every pitch matter, right? Every pitch matters. Every play matters. EPM. But at the end of the day, if you've already let the game get out of control, if you're down by 25 in basketball, if you're down by, is it 30 in football, and the clock starts rolling, now's not the time to start getting into it with officials. That time has come and gone. You've lost your opportunity to get into it with officials. Coaches, when an umpire communicates that to you, when this game has got, and you understand, please do not be the guy that says, no, wait a minute. We still have a chance here. There's still plenty of game left. Don't be that guy. We know you believe in your team. We know you love your team. Everyone knows it. But when you're being routed, those officials are trying to do you a favor. They're trying to make sure you understand that safety is the number one priority. And things can get out of hand. And not just on the scoreboard. Frustrations, because nobody likes to be shown up. Nobody likes having that situation happen to them and being able to have to respond incorrectly. Where an umpire or an official now needs to be a policeman. People have thrown at people. People have pushed people. People have attacked people. It happens all the time. Turn on the news. It happens. Sports, again, supposed to be fun. Supposed to be a competitive environment, but a safe environment overall. If an official comes over to you and explains, hey, this one's out, we're stretching the zone. We're not going to call all the fouls on the basketball court that necessarily should be called. We're not going to call those travels all the time. We're going to swallow the whistles, as they say. Get this one over with. Get everybody out of here safe. They're not doing this as a slight to the coach that's down. They're doing this as a favor to get it over with so your kids don't necessarily have to deal with different pain points down the road. That's the biggest one. To me, that's the biggest one. The biggest understanding of how officials are communicating to you. And that doesn't mean you turn around, and I'm not saying that you necessarily have to lay on the sword, but that doesn't mean you turn around and say, we're getting screwed. This game's over, and telling your kids that, because then you're just stirring the pot and creating other problems that don't need to be. They don't need to be. The game has already been decided. And if you feel the way that you do about that, and you don't stand up and say, listen, we're down by 15, but we want things to be even and fair, and we don't mind taking. And an official might listen to you, but they might not. And they might say, listen, coach, this one's over. Take our word for it. You got another half inning before this thing is completely kaput, and it's legal, it's in the book, boom, stamp it. If you're the coach on the other side, okay, we talked about the losing coach. This is a learning opportunity because nobody ever talks about, the coach that wins these games, they've got it all taken care of, right? They've got it all slotted. They won the game. They didn't utilize all their didn't kind of what's the old term? They kept their powder dry. That's what I'm looking for. They kept their powder dry. A lot of times if a game gets out of hand quickly, you throw in a pitcher that you might not necessarily need. Right? You don't really need them. You might have a guy or someone who plays that position sporadically and is a mop-up guy, or people that are just fringe guy. You put that person in quickly to kind of wait things out a little bit. Please don't become that guy who runs it up like all the way. You score 15 runs in 3 innings, awesome. Congratulations, your team had a great day. Don't be the guy that says, hey, let's see how many we can get. You don't want to go into a slump here. Got to make sure. I get it. Listen, competitor, go. Push the envelope. But also understand that karma has a weird way, and nobody understands it. But when you run up a score, know that you're kind of tap dancing on fate, and you're tap dancing on the front door of karma. That if you're pushing on purpose, and you could have 15, and 15's plenty, but you're going for 20, you're going for 25, and heaven forbid you go for 30 in a game that nobody else is scoring in. You're knocking on the door of karma, and you better hope she doesn't answer. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Don't be that person. Don't be that coach. You are a leader. By the listing at the top of the roster alone that says coach, you have to set the tone. Your kids, your players will represent what you are, whether it's good or bad. They will be it's like being a parent. The kids are going to get the best and the worst of you. And you're going to see it, and so will everybody else. It's going to be on display. Know that you want to limit your bad habits. And bad habit is blowing up the scoreboard when the other side has no chance. We talked about stacked teams. There's opportunities in life where your team's just hitting the crap out of the ball, or your team's just scoring at will, and the other team cannot stop you, and they cannot score. You might be having the best night of your life. They might be having the worst. You have to be able to limit the damage, and the damage can be more lingering for a team that has blown up the scoreboard than a team that has not. Because Team A, who wins, can get comfortable, while Team B, who just got smacked around, is going to be out and vengeful. They're going to try to get things back up and cranked up. They've got something to play for. Whereas if you're on the big end of the scoreboard, you might get a little comfortable. You might feel a little loose and, eating snacks in the dugout, chilling, and some of these conversations, coaches are talking to parents, while the game's still going on, which isn't, people talk about that all the time, like that's some kind of no-no. I don't mind when coaches talk to parents. It's not the end of the world during a game, but let's not get involved in some of these conversations we're getting involved in, right? Let's talk about the game, situations, not playing time. Not, hey, did you see the game last night? Hey, like, it has to make sense. So both coaches have been covered. We also have the umpires covered, the officials covered. The big one to me is the fans. Not most important, but the bigger one is the fans. Fans need to understand that they are there to observe. You can cheer. If you want to boo, I guess you're entitled to that as well. You are not entitled to ripping kids. You're not entitled to ripping parents, ripping umpires, ripping officials, ripping teams, whatever that may be. You're not entitled to do that. I don't know where this entitlement came from. And I don't know, nobody likes it. You might get a good one-liner over. That will never, ever give you the green light to just rip people. The thing about it is you just never know who you're sitting next to, right? If you're there and you're just there for gigs, right? You're there for giggles, you're there for a good time because it's something to do. You're at a sporting event. I don't care what level it is, professional down to Little League. It's usually the time where you feel comfortable enough to say some of the things that you do that you are sitting right next to that player's mom or somebody that player is attached to in some form or fashion. And then they have to make a choice. Do I sit here and take this or do I give it back? Because a lot of times, if you guys understand, and if watch this, it's not the game that gets fans fired up necessarily, or what happens during that game, an official, something that happens with a player, a play, coaching. It's something that somebody says in the stands that sparks that flame that lights the whole place on fire. It's somebody's opinion who a lot of times has nothing to do with that game other than being an Uber driver for a player or showing up as a spectator that gets these people fired up, that then they take aggression. One act of aggression leads to another, then it gets on the field, and now you've got everybody into it. I don't get it. The entitlement of a fan needs to take down about 6 notches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take it down. Relax. Breathe. It's a game. The majority of these kids are not getting paid. I can't say all of them and none of them anymore because of the NIL, because of the way college has changed, because of the way these kids, some of them are. That still does not give you the right to absolutely give it to them. Think about your job. We talked about this the other day. Nobody's coming to your job other than your boss. Like, nobody's coming and saying that you didn't do what you're supposed to do. And if they do, they're in the wrong. Public service or otherwise. I get to watch a little bit of this game too. See, it was a 1-0 game. I didn't lie to you. It was a 1-0 game whenever Mason just blew up. So we've covered all, and now the players. This is the most important one. Players who are being blown out or being on the right side of a blowout, so to speak. Play the game the right way. Play it at 100%, no matter if you're up by 20 or down by 20. Play the game. When you stop playing the game the way it was meant to be played, the way that you know how to play it, the way that you were trained to play it, that's when bad things happen. Injuries. Scenarios with coaches and players and fans and like all the people that we've talked about. Play the game it was the way it was meant to be played. Play it with pride. Play it with passion. Play it with honor. Play it like you'll never play it again. It might be your day on the right side of that scoreboard. It might not be your day on the other side of that scoreboard. But the most important thing is that you guys keep pounding. You keep dialing in. You keep stepping up. You keep swinging the bat. You keep pushing the rock. Because at the end of the day, the majority of you will have another chance. And if you're on the right side of the scoreboard, understand what it's like. And I hope everybody gets to be on that side of the scoreboard at some point in their life where they look at that scoreboard and you just see the tally keep going up and you feel helpless. Because that's the one that should sit in the back of your mind, and you should understand you never want to be in that situation again. And if you're on the right side of that scoreboard, you're looking at the other side and you're saying, I've been there and I never want to be there again. Or I've been there and I know how they feel. And not taking the foot off the pedal, but understanding why your coach is telling you not to steal that base on a pass ball. Why your coach is telling you not to score, to stand pat. Why the umpire or official is stretching that strike zone. Why those parents are cheering just a little bit harder when something so natural, so easy, what we think is easy, happens. I think there's just a little bit of empathy with that, and there needs to be. Because we need to learn when we're ahead in life what it feels like to be behind. And when you're behind in life, watch how those people that are ahead are doing it. Because you want to be on the other side of that scoreboard. As much as you say you don't, you'd love to be in their shoes. So learn how many miles they've walked in those shoes to get where they are. Not just say, I want to go buy those shoes. You earn those shoes. You don't get to buy those shoes. You buy them with blood, sweat, and tears. That's how you get it. Let's get to our spark. It's going to be a positive spark, I think, by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Hit it. It's the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? Presented by our friends at Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, you go to DickeyElectric.com and make sure that you're good to go today. All right, so the one argument on Facebook is constantly about July 4th and the fireworks and neighbors and people in your communities. And I can't believe that we're so enamored with fireworks, except for whenever our neighbors have them and it's too late for us. I get it. I understand it. I listen, I'm there. I was the kid at one point that was lighting off the fireworks, and now I'm the guy that has 2 kids and a dog that, man, I wish you guys would run out of fireworks. However, I always, I will never, ever, 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 ever again be the guy that is upset about the bus driver beeping their horn at 7 o'clock in the morning ever again. Because as much as it pains parents and dogs and pet owners and the older generation and people that don't want anything to do with the fireworks, I love the freedom of people being able to express themselves by lighting basically their money on fire. I love fireworks. I'm not saying my wife and I always have this conversation once a year. And we talk about people that go down and spend hundreds of dollars on fireworks and literally it goes up in smoke. Literally. I've got no problem with that. I've been that guy. I've paid for fireworks. But I'll never be that guy that complains about a bus driver beeping that horn at 7 o'clock in the morning ever again. Because the people who are frustrated right now with the fireworks are the people that are putting those kids at the bus stops. And when that bus driver beeps that horn to back up or whatever it may be because your kid's running late, it no longer frustrates me because the people that are in bed at 7 a.m. are the people that are lighting off the fireworks. Because that's the way the world works. It's harmony. It's harmony. So bus drivers, keep beeping that horn. I don't even know what you call it. Pyrotechnicians, keep lighting off those fireworks. It's a great day. It's a great way to be mad at your neighbors. You have something in common, but it's so far apart. God bless you all. God bless America. I hope you had a good time on today's show. Again, tomorrow, Josh Sigler will join us. We'll have an interview with Josh, the brand new AD at Beaver Local. I was going to say AD at BL, but there's way too many acronyms for that one. So we will have Josh with us. We'll talk about how it came to be, some of the plans that he might have for the Beavs, and we'll go from there. All that and more on the next episode and edition of Ysn Power Hour. Scotty Mincher will also join us, so make sure you tune in for that. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks for tuning in. Again, get to all the games tonight. Turn them on, ysnlive.com. Peace. Ysn thanks you for watching this presentation